Good morning, or afternoon, or evening. You know what? I bet the majority of you live in a basement where it is perpetual night because you never open the blinds. You don't know. Or the people that live in Antarctica. Does Antarctica even get sun? I imagine it does. I imagine it doesn't get sun for a lot of the year. I don't know what I'm talking about. This is Zelda. We're playing Zelda, and you're playing YouTube. You're playing the game of YouTube. It's like the game of life. It's really boring, and somebody wins, and in Corn Pops in the 90s, you used to be able to get a digital copy of like a CD-ROM with the game of life on it. And that was really cool. I love the game of life because all you had to do was just copy and paste all the files onto your computer, and then you could give the disc to someone else and work for them. I guess they weren't really worried about, you know, digital rights management for a game that came in a cereal box. But the cool thing about that game is it had LAN support. Great, sure, LAN support. You can play it if you have another computer on your local area network. You need a router for that. Router. Hardier network. Remember that. No, but like I had that game for such a long time. I had it afterwards, or after broadband became popular, and you could totally make it work on broadband if you just forwarded a port. It was great, and so I played it over the internet with people. I played the game of life over the internet with people, and it was magical, madrological. This intro that you have just heard. We're playing Majora's Mask. I don't know if I mentioned that. The Legend of Zelda's Majora's Mask. This intro is way better than the last like 4 intros. I find every time I sit down and start recording this, it's like I've 100% forgotten how to do it. You ever have that thing? It's like the things that are like the exact opposite of riding a bike, where you start trying and then it's just like, oh, how do I don't remember. And eventually you do get it, right? Like, this is the 42nd episode of Internet People. And by this time I probably should know how to do it, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna read some comments. Actually, no, before I read comments, I want to talk about Stone Tower Temple for a little bit, because there's not a lot of comments, and this video is like gonna be 47 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. So I have a little bit extra buffer footage this time because I always run long. See, I was thinking buffer footage where I do nothing important, but I still recorded it. But I want to talk about Stone Tower because okay, one, this music in this place is amazing, but this isn't even the good music because the music changes about halfway through the dungeon. Not a little bit less than halfway, and you will hear that later. I'll make a big deal about it. I'll flail my arms even though you can't see me. Maybe I should get a webcam and stick it in the corner. I could be PewDiePie. There's even a big gap right there. I could stick something. I'll stick something there right now. Oh, you know what? I'll just leave it there for the whole video. Eh? Eh? What do you think? What do you think? That's pretty good, eh? Pretty amazing. That's not me, by the way. I think my YouTube picture is still a picture of me while I was in a hallway. It was rather impressive. Man, that picture is so good. I am so pleased with myself for finding that. Okay. Alright. What was I talking about? I haven't even read comments yet, and I'm already getting confused. Too much audio data in my brain cells. Oh, man, cells. Oh, I love them. I love just, like, incarcerating people in them. Stone Tower Temple. Music's great. This is a really good dungeon. It's also a bad dungeon. It's good in that it's like super, like it's not difficult. There's very little in this dungeon where it's like your head scratching. Like there's a few things where it's like, well, how exactly do I do that? But the game prepares you for this entire dungeon. And it's just like it's fun and it's good and it's great. It's great and good. It's grud. Who said grud? I'm pretty sure that was strong bad. No, maybe. No, Teen Girl Squad. Right. Okay, I remember. But yes, dungeon is very creative. It's creative in a way that dungeons in Zelda's now aren't even. Does that make any sense? Like this dungeon is super great at creating interesting vistas, and it has just like it has a feeling that just isn't quite matched by, I don't think, anything on the Nintendo 64. Like just something that like a feeling that we kind of take for granted, like a bit of a mysticism slash theatrical thing. Oh look, it's a pause menu. I didn't edit out. And that's like it's something that you kind of take for granted in, for instance, like Twilight Princess, like really kind of used it in spades. But just the concept of this temple, like it obviously is an absurd temple and doesn't actually feel like a temple of any kind, but or it couldn't actually be a temple, but it kind of feels like a temple. Does that make sense? I think the only other one that comes close is probably the forest. The forest and the fire ones in Ocarina of Time kind of do the same thing, I think. But not as good. Like this one just feels more arcane, whereas the forest and fire temples just feel more sensical as a meeting place. Anyway, let us speak to some comments. I don't know what I was doing in this room for a while. Just speed that up. There you go. There we go. Now I go through whatever this is. Daniel Hayes is made to feel awkward. Well, you know what? You should feel awkward. That's what you get for saying things while I'm around. No, just don't worry about it. It's not like anyone watched the last one anyway, am I right? I don't know. Well, the funny thing is a normal amount of people watched it. No one left a comment, though. You all suck. Hopefully, well, what do you mean, hopefully not literally? Hopefully everyone sucked on a hard candy, a Werther's original. Did anyone ever hear that Jolly Rancher story on Reddit? That's a good story. I like that one. I like to think about it whenever I'm about to eat something. Aunt P says, in response to, if I remember correctly, the Dragon Dildo Forum topic, in which people were boiling their dildos and creating a dildo soup. So that's a thing that is a thing. 14 amateurs. I bet they can't even take them all at once. That is probably the grossest thing you have ever said. In all of the years, Aunt P and I have shared a tenuous at best internet relationship. Relationship? You know what? That is a technically correct word. I'll stick with it. I don't think you have said anything quite as kind of as gross as that. I'm sure I've said things as gross as that. I'm sure I've said them during an Internet People video. However, it is very uncharacteristic of you to say things like that. Which is why I'm pointing it out constantly, and I hope I'm making you and everyone else that's listening to this feel very uncomfortable. And now some awkward silence. Yeah, I love silence. I don't know. Let's do some scratching. Oh, what's more awkward to hear on a on an audio? Awkward silences that easily could have been edited out but weren't. Oh, oh, oh. Iterate. Iterate. Iterate, iterate. What am I even talking about? What does that mean? Iterate? Jeez, what's going on? I think I keep trying to bring up podcasts. The last time I did it very poorly because I was about to fall asleep. And I was trying to play a video game while doing it at the same time. It's just a whole mess. I listen to a variety of podcasts. I would like suggestions, honestly, for different podcasts. For anyone who's not in the loop, a podcast is a thing that Apple made up. Did they? I don't know the history of the etymology of the word podcast, but I'm assuming it's just because Apple made it up. Or someone else made it up, but iPods were popular at the time. Were iPods ever not popular? History. I'm just looking at what the history of iPods are. History of podcasting, the Wikipedia article. This is the worst tangent I've ever been on. September 2000. i2Go apparently made a thing. They didn't call it podcasting. And then RSS feeds happened, and then it was incredibly boring. Anyway, I listened to a selection of these, and the worst podcast I've ever listened to. There's a podcast app on Android called Aquatakat, and it has this thing called Discover, and it just lists a bunch of podcasts, and it's like, here you go, this stuff you might like. It's some good ones, I guess. Some stuff people thumbs up, some stuff that's popular, some stuff that you might like, and there was a thing on there called Iterate. And the description of it is, it focuses on design, user interface, user experience, etc., etc. From conception to realization, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, this sounds great. A podcast about user interface design. I love user interfaces. User interfaces give me weird boners, such as the excellent user interface that I've created in this video. Look at that image in the corner that's covering up that map. Oh, you know what? Let's make that a little bit transparent. Oh, sweet. Look at that weird filter I found and then I abuse whenever I used to use Photoshop. Yes. So, Iterate sounds great. User interface design. I nerd out for that shit. However, I listened to one of their podcasts, and they do it over Skype, a fairly high latency telephony application. And it's awful. It's just terrible. Because there's like awkward silences everywhere, and it's like you're putting out a podcast, for fuck's sake. Like, have you ever had that? Have you ever just like been listening to something or watching something where it's just terrible, and you could fix it, and it's just the fact that you could fix it is what makes it terrible? Like, I'm just listening to it, and then at some point, two people talk over each other. And then there's this weird silence, and then one of them picks it up, and it's like, well, why the hell didn't you go through this and just cut out the bit where they talked over each other and there was a silence for like 5 seconds? And this is the thing. This is a publication you are putting out on the internet, and not even on a daily basis. I could see if maybe if it was like a daily podcast, or even if it was like a live thing. Oh, look at that! This is what happens when I hold my phone up. You get to hear weird noises that happen from it. Pre-order your Samsung Galaxy S4 today from TELUS. Nope, I'm not doing that. I don't even know why TELUS is sending me emails. I've never had TELUS Mobility. But it's just like, you could have done this. I know how to do this. And I don't know anything about podcasting. The closest thing I know about podcasting is that you should probably have a nice microphone. And if you don't have a nice microphone, you should probably use the noise removal thing in Audacity. And you should definitely stick a picture in the corner of your podcast. What? No. Maybe I know less about podcasting than I thought. Anyway, that is the Iterate sucks. I'm just so angry at Iterate. And they had such a nice logo too. Of course they had a nice logo. It's a podcast about fucking user interface design of all things. Anyway, good. Okay, I'm gonna list off. Because I'm sure no one cares. I've been talking about this for far too long. I'm 100% sure no one gives two shits about it. But I am going to indulge myself and list off the favorite podcasts. And I would like for you to do the same if you haven't. And if you do not have a favorite podcast, you should listen to some. Top of the list. Stop Podcasting Yourself, the comedy podcast from Dave Shumka and Graham Clark. They're kind of a weird comedy duo. They both do stand-up. comedy, but they're not good at it. Okay, I shouldn't say that. They're okay, but they're not great. But I'm pretty sure they're the best comedy podcast I've ever listened to. Because Graham Clark, best human being that ever existed, for whatever reason, and Dave Shumka is just like this weird wealth of like 70s to 90s knowledge. And like together, apparently that just makes the most hilarious thing I've ever heard. I don't know. You go listen to it, stop podcasting yourselves, Google that, or whatever, internet. This American Life is popular. Therefore I hate it. No, it's fine. Actually, there's a bunch of stupid shit. The only other one I want to mention is Wiretap on CBC Radio, and that show is just fucking weird, but it's good. So those you should go, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you should go and listen to some of those. You know what? Maybe I should take an example. No, I'm not gonna do that. I need to sleep soon, so I need to finish recording this. Yes. Well, that was somehow managed. 16 minutes out of 2 comments, both of them one line. Cool Matt 2811 says, "Oh, Cool Matt." Cool Matt, for the people who don't remember, is the person that left comments on, what was it? Chips was doing a Let's Play of Gothic 4, which was terrible. I didn't say that though. Chips, if you're listening, as I know you listened to one of these at one point, I feel very sorry. And also, you should leave a comment. Don't be a dick. Cool Matt suggests Vampire the Masquerade. I've never played that. I'm just gonna Google it really quick. It's from what I understand, it's like a really gothic game that occurs with the Source engine. Does that make sense? Is that what it is? I don't know. It uses Storyteller system. I don't know. Is it not Source? I might be thinking of something else. But I do remember I lived with a crazy girl. Or woman. Woman? Was she? I guess she was a woman. She was of age. She was like 19. Is that a woman? I don't think that's a woman. There's a good thing to change to. What constitutes a man or a woman? I feel like no one from my generation is ever gonna feel like people my age are not. It's like this weird thing where like the concept of like masculinity, it just like it doesn't exist like it used to. So like, I don't know, maybe it's just the people that I hang out with, but I'm an adult, and I'm a responsible adult, and I do adult stuff. I do taxes and pay bills and that sort of stupid shit. But it's like I still feel like I don't feel like an adult. Does that make any sense? And I think that's just like this weird thing that it's just common. Like I don't know how common, but like a lot of the people that I just know in real life are just like that, and like I don't consider any of them to be adults, and they don't consider me. Like a really good example of this is Kaz. If you've watched any of Kaz's videos, does Kaz seem like an adult to you? No. I don't know. It's strange. It's really weird, and that's a topic of conversation if I ever had one. Leave a comment. I want something more to talk about rather than having to go on tirades for these, and then somehow managing to turn 8 comments into running long. Anyway, what was the original comment I was talking about? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, Vampire the Masquerade. There was a girl that I used to live. I used to live with this guy that I used to work with, and he got like a crazy girlfriend. And that girlfriend, I may have told this story already, but they were just like talking online. I used to live in a place, I used to live in Peace River, Alberta, which is literally 600 kilometers from anywhere important. I'm not gonna translate for you American folk. But anyway, so I used to live in Peace River. It's really really far away, and my roommate was talking like via Skype or whatever, and just like chatting online with this girl that he met on like an online dating site, and she lived in Surrey, BC. Now I'm just gonna look it up for you. The Surrey, BC is, according to Google Maps, 1,341 kilometers away from Peace River. Like this is not like this is very far. This is long distance to begin with, but I guess they really hit it off via text and whatnot. Like they really had a good time, chatting and whatnot. So like great, okay, fine, whatever. And he went down because he has family in the area. He went down and visited her for I don't know like a week. And like I guess they really hit it off. Great, thumbs up, awesome. And then this kind of escalates to, oh, she's coming and moving in with us. All right. She lives with her parents at this moment. Oh, by the way, look what just happened on the screen. What the fuck? Everything's upside down. That's the whole thing of this dungeon. You go through the dungeon once, right side up, and then you go through it again, upside down. And all the rooms are a little bit different. And you have to get through them in certain ways. It takes advantage of all of your things. Instead of swimming through certain rooms now you have to use your deku, whatever. But it's such a what a great dungeon this is though. What a clever idea. Did they ever do that again in another Zelda? I don't know. Anyway, so this girl comes and she moves in. I'm sure I've told this story before. I've told it to other people, but I'm not sure if I did it on internet people. Let me know if I have, because then I'll stop and move on. This is why I should do these live. There's a comment about live streams later on. But so she moves in, and she's fine, but there's one warning sign. She is incredibly uncomfortable with me. Now I'm kind of a large person, like you know, despite the fact that I probably could stand to lose a few pounds. Like I'm just tall, like I'm 6'1", but I wouldn't call myself intimidating in any way. But she is just like absolutely petrified of me for like the first week that she moved in. Keep in mind that she knew I was there before she came up and moved in. And she won't come out of my roommate's bedroom. Alright? Like, how strange is that? So, like, 100% bizarre. Like, who does that? Okay. Fine, whatever. It's a new place. She's never been... I don't even think she's been to Alberta before. Like, it's just going out of province. Okay, I can see, I can understand why she might be reticent. And, you know, after like a week or whatever, she comes out and we start chatting and it's, okay, it's fine. We're getting along. Great. Now, I'm paying for her to live there. Okay. This is kind of where it gets awkward because she is eating a third of the food, and she's using a third of the, you know, she what ends up happening is, I'm paying half the rent, my roommate's paying half the rent, and she's just living there, right? She doesn't like clean up after herself, I'm still doing all or me and him are still doing you know, the dishes and whatnot. Like, it's not like we expect her to be a maid, but some, you know, rent's not cheap, right? Financial remuneration is not unreasonable, I don't think. But it's like, I feel like I shouldn't have to pay extra for, like, groceries and shit if she is living here. And I'm not being mean about it. It's like, I bring it up with a roommate at one point, and he's kind of like, well, like, I actually talked to her about this, and she doesn't want to, whatever. And, like, at some point, I just, like, you know, fuck it, you know, I'm paying a third of this. I'm paying just a third of everything, and like you have to pick up the slack because you're the one who is living or brought her here. Keep in mind that, like, you know, this can sound like it can go either way. Like maybe I'm being unreasonable here, like by doing this to them. But it's not like it's not like I'm giving her, like, it's like she's lived here for months before I start to worry about this, right? Like she lived with us for a large period of time. So like, and then she kind of starts to resent me, I guess, for that sort of thing. She kind of goes back into hiding from me frequently. Okay, fine, whatever. But that's and that's kind of not like, at some point she gets a job. And it's a good job. It's like 18 bucks an hour to do data entry for the government. But she's, oh, I hate my job. So I'm gonna quit it, and I'm not gonna look for a new one. Like that's how she is, or how she was. And it's like, at this point, like I'm sick of her, or no, I'm sick of what she's doing. And so is he. So is my roommate. Right? My roommate is getting tired of her as well. Like tired of her antics. So okay, one last little kind of anecdote. Just as a little thing. I guess maybe at some point I like swore out loud, like, and you like this internet people videos and like, my Let's Play videos kind of give me a good, or kind of give you a good I guess like view of my personality, and I don't think I have a super violent personality, but I guess at some point I swore and she didn't like it, but she just sort of kind of kept it all like bottled up and like didn't tell anyone, or complained about it to him, and he was like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." But I guess it really bothered her. Anyway, so what happens one day is I used to bike to work. But I had like an accident. There was another bike or whatever. I had an accident, and there's like blood streaming down my face, right? Like I got like skinned arms. Like I ended up needing to go like get stitches at the hospital. Like it was a whole thing. And my bike was like the wheel was like bent, and I was mad, and I was like, I can't, like, and I just like I fucking got my thing, and I come home and I'm like my face is all like I fucking got like hit, and I was like that sort of thing. It's not like I was yelling or like being like super upset. However, she decides to take this time because there's literally blood streaming down my face, and she kind of comes out of the bedroom, and I guess this is probably what he told her to do. It's like, well, next time like I do something that offends her, just let me know, because this is entirely reasonable that if I'm doing something that she doesn't like, she can just come up and tell me, hey, I don't like it when you're doing that. Can you stop doing that? Okay? Great. However, when I'm like bleeding and I need to go to the hospital, that's not an appropriate time to bring that sort of thing up. And she decides to do it. Like I'm in the bathroom, like trying to clean myself up enough so that I won't like get blood all over my roommate's car because he's gonna drive me to the hospital. Because I can't afford $100 for a I can't afford $100 for an ambulance. What are you talking about? And she like comes up behind me and starts like saying like the whole thing, like, "Hey, I don't like it that you swore, and I would really appreciate." And I was just like, "Oh my god, I just can't. Please, just don't." And I really don't want to deal with you right now. I very specifically remember that was what I told her. And she starts crying, and she hides in the bedroom. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how anyone can be like that. I'm like, oh, you know what, this is going to be awful if I already told this story. But it would have been at least a month ago, so you get to hear it again. Yeah. So anyway, he ends up dumping her, and like he like or my roommate dumps her and offers. I think he offers to get her a bus back to Surrey or whatever, and she won't have any of it, and she calls her parents, and her parents drive up the you know 1,300 whatever kilometers to get to to get to Peace River and pick her up and take her home. And take her stuff or whatever she has. Like she doesn't have anything, but I don't know. I do remember very specifically while we were waiting for them to come up, like she was very noisy during the day, and then I was working overnights then too. And I remember being like, hey, like please be quiet. But yeah. Jesus Christ. Anyway, the whole reason I brought that up is because she liked Vampire the Masquerade. Yeah. Why was I talking about that for like 15 minutes? Because that. She liked that game. And that is the only thing I could think about was this crazy person whenever Vampire the Masquerade is brought up. Anyway, based on that, should I still play that video game? Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to a different comment. Jesus Christ. 3 one-line comments, and I managed to get a half an hour out of it. I am impressive. I'm very pleased with myself. Bester97. Oh, hello, Bester97. You're my favorite. You're one of my favorites. Who am I kidding? Basically everyone who says anything is my favorite. Daniel Hayes is my favorite, MP is my favorite, Cool Matt's my favorite, Bester97 is my favorite, Jacoby's my favorite. Bester97 says, there's an awkward pause that I could have cut out. Man, you know what? I'm not even drinking my own medicine. What does that even mean? I don't know. I don't think you should stop doing the Internet People videos, Bester97 says, and switch to streaming. The only reason being I suck at keeping up with streams. This just seems easier the way you're doing it now. It's probably, yeah, like that's kind of where we're at. I don't think I ever really seriously entertained the concept of, like, internally in my brain. I never really thought that switching Internet People for streams was a good idea. Streams are, don't get me wrong, streams are fun. I don't know if I'm cut out for them though. As has been proven by Kaz, it's really hard to do a good stream, I think. I think the only reasonable way to do, especially if you're doing a stream that people want, like it's easy if I just want to be playing Zelda, right? And, you know, maybe asking, like, say I'm stuck on a spot, and maybe asking the audience to be like, hey, do you remember how to get through this? And they'll be like, oh, you do this. Okay, great. Whatever. But like what I'm doing now, I've just jam-packed 33 minutes of substantial talking points. Substantive. Is that the word I'm looking for? Substan something. Like real chatting. And that sort of real chatting doesn't work when you're trying to play a game. Like it does work if the game is second nature, but like for instance this in Majora's Mask, like the game is like just hard enough and just unfamiliar enough for it to just collapse the moment that I start to try it, which you saw 2 videos ago, and I'm really sorry for. But yeah, so like if like a stream with like a stream like that, like just 100% definitely needs either a game that I'm really familiar with, or it needs more commentators. Like I would need to get you know, like a mumble or whatever with a few people in it, and then they could pick up the slack where I was unable to entertain you. Are you not entertained? Oh, I don't even know what I'm trying. Anyway, Bester97 also asks, do you really have fun playing video games anymore? Or are they just a chore to you now? You know, that's a great question, actually. I never liked games. Oh no, I shouldn't say that because games are great. There's lots of good video games. But video games have always been a chore for me, except for when I was like super young. Like I would say like 14 and older. Video games are a bit of a chore. And that's not to say that video games are inherently like awful. Like it's not like video games are inferior to other modes of entertainment. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The fact that they can be a chore is what makes them great. And you know what? I feel really bad because I'm not talking about the game that this is set to at all. But oh my god, what a weird boss battle just pull out of nowhere, right? Am I the only one that's thinking that? I don't know. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. It's just just throw this weird boss battle in that. Why did they have to have Wizrobe end this? Fucking Wizrobe. No one likes Wizrobe. Anyway. Video games have easily the most difficult barrier to entry before they become satisfying. And there's a risk when you play a video game that you won't find it satisfying, but you have to dedicate quite a bit of time and effort in learning a game's mechanics. Like Zelda, for instance, or Ocarina of Time is 100% one of the best examples of a video game where if you've never played a Zelda, or if you've never played a 3D Zelda, or a Zelda-like game before, if you were starting on that game from 100% scratch, which a lot of people were when it came out, that game can be really tough to get into, especially when you're at the age range where I was when that game came out. Because the mechanics of the game are like they just seem natural now, but they weren't when it came out. Like they were new, they were super new, and they they're great. Obviously, we're still playing Zelda games and Zelda-like games. Like it spawned a genre, for Christ's sake. Like fucking Shadow Man is a Zelda-like game. Like your Darksiders, all of the 3D Zeldas, all control the same way. But back then it was new and it was tough. All the stupid shit in Kokiri Village. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The thing where they like teach you to do like jumps and stuff. It just seems dumb now, but you kind of needed to practice in order to just do basic things in the game, and it kind of created this weird barrier of entry. I don't know, maybe I'm just imagining it because I was younger, but I really thought the mechanics in that game were difficult. And I remember I played it, and the original temple is easy enough. Like the Deku Tree is easy enough to get through, so that even if you aren't really comfortable with the mechanics, you could still get through it. And that really kind of cemented it being difficult, or that made that game feel like a chore, because you would get through it, but you weren't feeling confident, and like you would beat the boss, and like the game would congratulate you, but it was like, well, like, but this doesn't feel very fluid. And then the game does eventually pick up pace. Dodongo's camera gets better. It feels better. The things after that, like, it just feels better. And then by the time you hit, at least I think, by the time you hit adulthood, like, I felt really comfortable just playing the game. And that is when the game became fun. Like, that barrier of entry from when I started playing that game to when I started playing, or I got to the Forest Temple, is absurd. Like, that is such a long, like, that is like a quarter of the game. And that is how long it took until Ocarina of Time became fun for me. And that, but, and a lot of games are like that. Like, especially games like, that try out a new thing. Like, Portal is a good example of a game that narrowly avoids it, because they take a really complex mechanic, but they manage to weave it in such a way where it's like super like easy and everything's great with it, and you have no problems. But the fact is, a video game is a chore. It's always a chore to start playing a game, any game, regardless of what it is, regardless if you play that style of game before or not. It's always a big chore to start playing a game. But after you've learned it, and after you've managed to after you've managed to get good enough at it for it to start becoming fun, it is far more. It is 100% amazing and far more entertaining than any other mode of entertainment, like television. Television is magic. Like, a lot of television shows are like just amazing. Like, I'm recently rewatching Deep Space Nine, and I'm getting like chills with these episodes because they're just so good. But they are not. They are nowhere as near as satisfying as playing and becoming good at a video game. So that's that's the answer. Yeah, they're a chore, but if you can manage to get through it, then it's just the best. And we are definitely past that point with Majora's Mask. I kind of am like, I don't really want to play it right now, but then I start playing it and it's like, well, this, like, why did I not want to play this? This game is fucking amazing, right? Yeah. Anyway, best of 97. I hope you enjoyed that answer. I don't have as much to say, Bester 97 says, about Skyrim as you did, but I thought it was pretty fun to play through the first time, and then any time after that was the most boring experience ever. I say this because while you can change your actual character, it seems there's no other choices in the game. The choice is overrated. Like, choice is really, really overrated. Chips recently was talking, like, I think we talked about this before, but do you like my edit? It's a good edit. You have to run through the dungeon again to get the stray fairies. It's because you unlock the stray fairies with the dungeon upside down, and then you have to go back through it exactly the same path you went through it the first time when the dungeon was right set up. But you just go through it again, but now there's fairies there in like chests. So that's why I cut that out, because you don't need to see it. There's 4 fairies that are like that, or 5, 4 or 5. I don't remember. Anyway, but yeah, choice is overrated. Like Mass Effect, for instance. It has the illusion of choice. Chips was talking to me about. Like, you know, there are choices, but the vast majority, like, the events that happen in the game are going to happen regardless of what you choose. Like, you know, there's always going to be, like, it's not like The Witcher where, like, entirely different plot lines happen. So it's not I don't think it's necessary that a game has to have big choices in order for it to be good. However, we've talked about Skyrim to death, but Skyrim is bad in a lot of ways. But the fact that you don't have control over the narrative, I don't think is one of them, because you don't have control over the narrative in Oblivion or Morrowind either. Like the control over narrative you have in those games is almost identical to that which you have in Skyrim, and those games both have much better quests. They just were able to do it better. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that more next time, because we're quickly running out of stuff to say. Jacoby, post your comments earlier so I could talk about those rather than about a story that I might have already told you. Anyway, Jacoby says, why did you get so angry about 2D side-scrollers? I only got angry about that because 2D side-scrollers are like just it's like the trope for a hard game. Like, if a game is hard, oh man, you know, this is NES era days, those games are super hard. And, you know, yeah, sure, they are hard, but, like, you know, there's more to a difficulty in the game than it just, you know, being punishing, which is what I find most 2D side-scrollers are. Considering next Internet People game, Jacoby votes for either Twilight Princess or The Ballad of Gay Tony. I haven't even finished The Ballad of Gay Tony. Something I think I just got bored of GTA because I had recently just finished Lost in the Damned. Lost in the Damned was pretty good though. I hear Ballad of Gay Tony is even better, so maybe I should play Ballad of Gay Tony through. I played like the first like 3 missions and they were fun, but you know, it's just too much GTA if that makes any sense. Please no streaming. Jacoby screams. As I have stated earlier, love your concept of Internet People videos. Please don't change it. And, you know, I don't think I would change it. I think we'll put streaming to a rest. I think the only thing I might stream is maybe if I'm just playing a game and I don't want to let's play it. but I just, you know, maybe the game isn't, maybe I just stream. Like, maybe once I play Bioshock Infinite, which will happen, like, I don't think I'm going to Let's Play it, but maybe I'll just stream it while I'm playing it. You know, and if you want to come chat with me while I'm doing it, sure, why not? Come and hang out. That's kind of the idea behind what I want to do with that anyway. Anyway, oh, fuck. I read this and I realized I was going to need a lot of time to talk about this. Toby asked a Canadian politics question. Talking about politics is always tricky, so you don't have to answer the question if you don't want to, but what is your opinion about Justin Trudeau and the given possibility that the offspring of a former prime minister, blah, blah, blah. Okay, backstory for people who don't know. We had a prime minister, very popular liberal leader called Pierre Trudeau. He enacted a bunch of stuff. I think he kind of, gay rights and whatnot, pushed forward. He did a bunch of stuff that conservatives hated, like trying to do equalization payments between provinces so that a rich province would pay to a poor province, like that sort of stuff. Or I think he tried, I don't know, maybe, did he do that? That might have been someone else. What I do know is he tried to do an energy program thing that Alberta, I live in Alberta, hated because we do all the oil, and he wanted to get the wealth from the oil to spread across the country rather than just be concentrated in Alberta. And conservatives in Alberta hated it and hated him. However, he was very popular in basically the beneficiaries and also the more liberal provinces, for example, your Ontario and whatnot. Anyway, his son, Justin Trudeau, is now becoming popular politically. He's recently become the leader of the Liberal Party. He doesn't have a real platform. But he's very popular with the electorate because he seems like a genuine person. There's no real reason for him to be as popular as he is, other than the simple fact that he is, just because he's a likable fellow, and that's legit. That's literally the case with his father. His father, well, honestly, I don't know because it was before my time, but his father was fairly popular with the electorate as well. Like people just liked him. Some people hated him, but it's not like Prime Minister Harper, which everyone just hates. Anyway, what do I feel about it? The problem with answering a question like how do I feel about Justin Trudeau is he hasn't done anything yet. Like we haven't seen what he's about. All that we know is that he's making all the right choices at the moment. He is making, or he's not providing a platform that the Conservative Party can attack him with. However, he's not providing a platform that anyone can latch onto. But instead, he's just replacing it with a lot of platitudes, and people are eating it up, and it's interesting to watch. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter yet because we're not we're 2 years off from an election, so it's kind of interesting to see if he'll stay as popular as he is. From what I understand in current polling, if you were to have an election today, he would win. I think he would get a minority government, but that's neither here nor there. I would say he's reasonably desirable, in the same way that all of the leaders of all the parties are reasonably desirable. I can see him being a good leader, but I can't. That's just because the liberal policies that he comes from innately are fairly good, and generally reflect what I think Canada should look like, and not necessarily because of him. I feel like his party would keep him in check as best as possible. So that's what I think about it. But the fact of the matter is, we just don't know anything about him. Maybe he ends up being a nut. He won't end up being a nut job, but he might end up just having a weird opinion about some specific thing, and then latch onto it, like how Stéphane Dion latched onto carbon taxes, and how there was just parts of the country that just, like the aerospace industry and like all of Alberta, just latched on hating it. So that's my response to that. I hope you liked it. I don't know why you care about Canadian politics. I can 100% guarantee I don't care about German politics. I'm sorry. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. This ran long again. I gave myself 47 minutes to respond to 8 comments, and it ran long. I don't know. I had a good time. I hope you had a good time. Don't forget, leave a comment. I've already asked you like 5 times. It's getting desperate. It's kind of gross. Also, I am very delicious when people lick my fingers.